Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's another Tuesday. I am always so excited to be here with you. You guys definitely are a highlight of my week. And we are starting another month. It's August. Yes. The summer is cruising by. We're like almost three-quarters through the year of 2025 already. Time goes so fast, which, oh, wait. And as we're present, we be present in the moment. That helps time slow down a little bit. Last month, we talked about productivity. This month, we're talking about necessity. And what that is that reason for continuing to grow, to change, to evolve, and to improve our lives. And sometimes necessity, it's the must do's or the gotta do's. And sometimes those can be kind of a negative feeling, like I got to do this, I got to do that. And we're going to try and find that balance of what is the necessity within ourselves as we're designing and building our best lives. I'm going to introduce you to and encourage us to all be like rubber bands. Let's stretch ourselves a little bit this month. And our framework that we're going to talk about in a little while is reach. So as we stretch and as we grow, we want to reach forward and keep doing those things that bring us joy, that put that life and that spark in our lives and kind of break up that monotony and that boredom. So I want to talk about raising necessity with not with pressure, because like I said, sometimes when you get those must do's or have to do's, that can be really heavy and weighing down. I want us to continue reminding ourselves to focus with intention and on purpose. And we were all made to stretch, to rise, to grow, and to become our best selves. And our personal development and our growth is a journey. It's a process. We keep going, we keep moving forward. It's not a destination. There's not like a magic number or a magic number of years, or you say, I've been doing personal growth and I've been stretching myself for 5 years. Ta-da! I'm done and I'm not going to grow anymore. That's not the way it works. I believe that's not the way God intended us to be. We're supposed to continue to strive and to grow. And so today we're talking about what happens if we don't grow. So, as we do in our sessions, I'm just going to give us a little minute to focus on some journaling time. And so, this is our month of August. We're in August. So, we're talking about our commitment to growth, accountability, and purpose-driven action, and what's at stake if we don't. So, for our journaling time today, when I've talked about this with just this little introduction, what does it feel like, or what do you feel when I say you should be, or we want to continue growing and stretching or expanding and becoming more of that good human that God has created us to be, more of that caregiver, if that's your role, more of that friend, as that's your role, more of that family member, whatever that happens to be is your more. What does that feel like? And how do you know, or what does it feel like when you're kind of being complacent and when you're just kind of stale or not moving and growing? Maybe you, when if for the first part of the question, maybe you feel alive when you're growing and stretching and learning new things. Maybe you're fearful. Maybe you're filled with awe and wonder and hopefulness. Maybe it scares the crap out of you. So I'm just going to pause for a minute here, like we normally do, just give you some time. Think about those two questions. How do you feel when you're stretching, when you're growing, when you're doing something more? And how do you know when you're kind of stuck or complacent? Okay, start wrapping up your thoughts on that. I totally encourage and invite you to continue noodling on that and doing some journaling on that when we finish our today's session. Maybe you'll have some new insights as we go along. I love learning how my brain works. I know it's very complicated, and I am not a brain scientist and all these other sorts of things, but there's a lot of research out there, and I like doing the research for these things because it helps me integrate the stuff that I'm learning, which is what I'm sharing with you. And we've talked in the past that our brains like that comfort. They don't really like change. They know what's recurring, they know what's predictable. We talked last month in our productivity, like if we can reduce the friction and make some of those decisions, those common decisions every day, our brains are like happy because they know what to expect. But they also like change, which we've talked about. And our brain likes that pleasure, that thing when we're moving forward, when we accomplish something, when something feels good. It's that dopamine hit in our brains that are like, yeah, let's do this again. It was awesome. And the brain doesn't want pain. So it's like, oh, don't do that if it's scary. And just in the introduction of this session, I said, we're supposed to push ourselves. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to exchange. We're supposed to move forward. So it's that conscious, focused, and intentional change that our brains like. When we're on purpose and we're making progress, they're happy. But when things are kind of wonky and not really going well, or they're sporadic, that's when we kind of get stuck. And so we can actually train our brain to move forward with this purpose driven and with this intentional discomfort. Might sound a little weird, in being intentionally discomforted, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. We talked a couple months ago also about cognitive dissonance. Our brains and our bodies are so in tune to what our core values are. Yet we control our thoughts, which controls our actions, and we can choose to do things that are in alignment with our core values and with who we are supposed to be. Or we can choose to think thoughts and do things that are out of alignment. And when we are living and acting out of alignment, we can experience stress. Now, that can be mental stress because you're thinking about things, things just aren't lining up, you're trying to figure things out. And it can manifest itself in physical stress. When things aren't lining up, you might feel tension in your shoulders. I sometimes feel a pressure like right above my chest, right in my heart area, or in the pit of my stomach. And, it's really easy to dismiss that. I got an upset stomach, I got heartburn, but sometimes it really is, what have you been doing or what have you been thinking over the last couple of days or weeks? Are you trying to force yourself as a round peg into a square hole? Are you forcing yourself to live in a way that isn't truly authentic to you? So we want to train our brains with this alignment, and eventually we will get to that place of mental peace as well as physical and spiritual peace. As I've told you many times before, I believe in God. You may not believe in God or have a faith like that, but you believe in the universe or probably something bigger than you, the divine, whatever that might be. Um, I believe that everyone was created on purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose. That means you and only you are here, right now, because of what you were destined to do and destined to be. And so I want to continue encouraging you as we go through this, through the rest of the year and this beyond the good life. We're designing and building that life that applies only to you. And I want to celebrate. So please share your successes, your wins. What are you learning? What are you taking away from these sessions? And I'm hoping that, you're getting things from this. I get so much fun preparing for these and doing the research. And I just think it's amazing. And I think you guys are amazing. And I want to celebrate with you. So I want to talk about, I mentioned before about the rubber band. And if you think about a rubber band, I don't have one here. I should have had one, but I'm sure you can all vision that bag of rubber bands or that ball of rubber bands. If you take one off and you just hold it, and you try and put like one pen in it, the pen will fall out, for example. It's when you stretch that band that it actually has something to hold onto. And its purpose is to be stretched. Its purpose is not to be the limp little rubber band that only cannot hold one pen or a book of cards or whatever it happens to be. So if we think of ourselves as that rubber band that's to be stretched, to contain more, to hold more, how can that apply to your life right now? What are you doing or not doing? Are you stretching your rubber band? Are you stretching yourself? Or are you letting your rubber band get a little wiggly and loosey on the side and maybe some things are slipping out? I was, this was several years ago when I was looking for a new corporate job because the role that I had was being retired, removed from the organization. And it gave me up an opportunity to think about what have I been doing as I had been building my corporate career. And I changed jobs or was invited to have a new job. And coincidentally, it happened when I was feeling bored. I realized that over time, I liked the challenging projects. I was a consultant for 9.5 years, and I would travel to different organizations in multiple industries. I worked in entertainment, I worked in the university system, I worked at department stores. So I knew, of those industries, but I never knew everything about the business internally. I had my tool bag of process definitions and role explanations and process efficiencies and those sorts of things. But the opportunities to stretch were to come into those organizations with just a few days' notice and be up and running. And so I had to push myself and stretch myself, both my learning, my ability to ask questions, take in information, sort things out, draw pictures of flow diagrams, and then meet the people and engage with the people. And that's what lit me up. And as I became a certified high performance coach, I realized that that was the same passion for why I wanted to be a coach and why being a coach is so amazing. I have a tool bag of all sorts of stuff and experiences. And I have a process. I have some questions, but then I know how to ask curious questions. But I don't have the answers. And so I can expand and grow and challenge myself while I ask the questions and challenge and grow with my clients. And that is so amazing. So I want you to think about the stretching as bringing in more capacity. And it's not because you have to. And I'm going to use a should here. I think it's a should because we were created for more. Each of us has a purpose and a value and a reason for being on this planet. And part of my goal and my mission as a coach is to help each and every one of you and all of the clients that I'm going to serve in the future to find, discover, nourish, and grow that purpose that you and only you have. Our framework today, as I mentioned before, is we want to reach. So sharing. Okay, our framework today, again, reaching. So I want you in this month of necessity. Why am I doing this? I want you to continue growing. And we want to reach forward and commit to that because we don't want to just stay the same. And growth doesn't just happen. It's something that you reach for, that you strive for, that you put with intention into your days, your weeks, your months, and your years. So first of all, realize the risk. What parts of your future are in danger if you don't grow? What would your life have looked like 6 months ago if you had not joined this group? Would it be this? What would it look like? I'm assuming, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that you've changed and grown and found more purpose and more joy and maybe a little more fun in your life. But think about back to January. What if you had done none of this work? What will your life look like 6 months from now, 5 years from now, if you hadn't gone after your purpose, looked at your values, defined what matters to you and not what society says? Think about risk versus reward. They talk about that. Whatever you risk putting yourself out there. You risk going up and talking to that person if you're looking for a life partner. If you don't go up and talk to them, you're never going to know if that person was the one. I'm really thankful that my husband came up to me. I was a consultant at his organization, and he talked to me. And that led to our first date and then our second date and then happily ever after, which was awesome. But if he had never taken that risk, we would have never received that reward. And there's also opportunity costs. If you're in the business world, that's one of those things where you look at what is the price. Everything has a cost. It can be time, it can be dollars, it can be satisfaction. But if I choose this thing by saying yes, you're saying no to something else. That's just the way it works. And so if you say yes to being more intentional, more purposeful, more joy-filled, having more fun, finding more things to laugh at and laugh with, you can find some humans, friends, or family to laugh with. What are you giving up? Maybe you're giving up another night of Netflix all by yourself. Maybe you're giving up feeling a little lonely if you take these risks to go out, introduce yourself, volunteer. So weigh those opportunity costs and choose the one that can give you that, whoa, this is amazing. All right. R.E. Oops, I thought I clicked. There we go. I'm getting real and honest with you here, folks. We all have excuses. I know I have excuses for not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, where I choose comfort and just, yeah. How many of you have said, I'll do it tomorrow, or I will do it later? One, tomorrow is never promised. And two, tomorrow becomes today. So yesterday's tomorrow was today. That means you need to do it today. You can't do it tomorrow. So I'm challenging us to be brave, be honest with ourselves. I'm not saying you got to announce it to the world, but I know I can do better. Now, again, a little flip side caveat, I'm not saying push, 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 hard, 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 grind, grind, grind. That's not what it's about. But have you ever had those moments? I had one earlier. Was that today or was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday, where it was like, I always have the put off, I'll just do it later when it's really something that I know is going to challenge me in a good way. And so I thank my guardian angel or the stubbornness in the back of my head said, just work on it for 10 minutes. I scheduled my little timer 10 minutes. I got into it and I had an amazingly productive yesterday afternoon. So don't play safe or small, but rather be bold and courageous as we move forward. And then, as I said, that I believe we've all been called or given a purpose or created with a mission from God or the divine. Accept that assignment. It's a challenge that has been assigned specifically to you to activate your purpose and your intention. So, whatever that connection is to your best life and to your purpose, connect with that. Maybe journal about it. What does it mean? Who do you feel connected to? Maybe you're serving your God. Maybe you're serving your spouse. Maybe you're creating a household with your family, your kids, and you want to have this beautiful, fun, loving, caring, challenging family. Maybe you're serving your neighborhood by volunteering. But what is your connection and your assignment Figure out what that is or start thinking about it, and then raise your hand and say, yep, I'm accepting this assignment. I'm going to do the best I can. Next, we have C, where we get to choose the challenge. Remember, you always have the choice. Always. Society sometimes doesn't let us think we have choices. And yes, if you're still working a 9 to 5 job or there's some other responsibilities, you can't choose every element of what you have to do in your day, but you always get to choose how you think about it and how you show up. Do I bring my best self? Do I bring my energy? Do I bring my joy? Or do I bring my grumpiness and my begrudgingness and this and bleh? That's my choice. That has nothing to do with anybody in the outside world. So growth is always going to feel like a stretch because we're getting our loose rubber band is where we were just set, and then we're going to stretch it just a little bit and just a little bit. Think of some time when you pushed yourself, maybe beyond what you thought you could do. Maybe it was a physical event. I did 7 Tough Mudder runs. Didn't know if I could do those. Those were 10 miles long, and I did them. Feeling at the end, yes. Or maybe you've had a project at work or something that just really required a lot of brain power and mentally engagement of figuring things out and putting things together, and you got that done and you pushed through. What did that feel like? Remember that you are stronger than you think. And if you don't believe in yourself, I 100% believe in you because I know you can and will do amazing things with your life. And then, as I talked about before, our H in our REACH framework is to honor that journey. It's a journey. Sometimes it's hard to see what's beyond tomorrow. Sometimes it's hard to see what's beyond the next 20 minutes if you're in a really crisis, chaos, challenging time in your life. But it's a journey and it's a path and it's not going to be perfect. And that's okay. I encourage us not to get stuck in the past and dwell on what happened in the past. You can't change it. You can learn from it, make new decisions and new choices and move forward, but then be present. Don't be always wishing for that thing that's out in front of you because you're going to miss that time when you are in the journey right now. Have you ever been on that trip or that ride home from work and you don't even remember the roads? You don't remember whether the trees are blooming and the flowers are blooming or if somebody had cut their lawn. So in all of these moments, just take a little bit of time and be present to enjoy that journey. Okay, our time goes fast. This is so much fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Next week, I'm going to explain more about necessity. There are 5, they're not really phases, but there's 5 aspects of necessity that we're going to want to tap into. But for this week, just start thinking about that initial question. What's at stake if I don't grow? And so your journaling questions for this week, what's one area where you feel like staying the same is silently costing you? Is there something, maybe look back from when we started this time in January to now, what area in your life has stayed the same? And maybe imagine what it would have been like if you had taken that opportunity, that risk versus reward, taken that risk to do something a little different. Would it have changed where you are today? What you're feeling, what you've accomplished, who you engage with? Which excuse or story that you've been telling yourself are you ready to release this month? We're going to let something go. That's always what we're doing. We're honing in with intention and purpose, and then we're going to let some things go. For me, this month, I am letting go of the excuse that I don't have enough time. I have been using that excuse, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many months. And it would be really interesting to kind of do a replay of my life over the last 7 months and see how many times I actually said that. Because we all have 24 hours in a day. So, how am I managing my time? If I'm doing all the little snippy things that make me feel good, like I'm checking off my to-do list, we talked about last month, but then when I have the time and want to do the bigger thing because I've checked off the little baby things, I have enough time. I just need to focus on what I want to do with that time. What would your future self thank you for doing today or this month, even if it feels uncomfortable now? So I want us to engage in our imagination. If I let go of this sentence of I don't have enough time, and I'm focusing right now on completing my business plan and then growing my coaching business, connecting and relating to and building relationships with potentially future new clients. What will my future self thank me for doing that? I can envision that I will be serving new clients and engaging with them, which brings me so much joy. It'll bring me some more income, which is always going to be awesome. And I will have been able to look back and go, I focused. Great job, Connie. Back in August, you said you didn't have enough time. Look at you using your time. What is that going to be for you? Think about what your future self is going to celebrate you for and work on that. And imagine your rubber band. What could you hold yourself? What could you hold more of if you allowed yourself to stretch? Can you squeeze a little more playfulness, joy into your day? Can you squeeze a little more fun, fulfillment, connection into your days? Which of these, drop in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, which of the letters from our R.E.A.C.H framework did you most connect with? Were you going to realize the risks of staying small, playing small? Are you going to be honest with yourself and expose those excuses? Are you going to accept the assignment that you've been given and choose the challenges that go along with that assignment? Or honor that journey? Be present, enjoy it. It's not going to be perfect. If you stumble, brush yourself off, dust your knees off, have a little laugh, and continue moving. Oh, thank you. Exposing excuses. That was a big one for me. So awesome. I want you to keep working on that. And I just want to continue to encourage and invite you all. Thank you again for being here. That your comfort zone is not your calling. You were created for more than just playing neutral and playing consistent. We want those consistent habits as our foundation, but then just think of the expansion, the growth, the strength, the impact that you can have on other people's lives. All these people that you engage with, you say good morning to the person across the hall as they're getting your newspaper when you're getting your newspaper. Maybe that's the only person who's going to wish them a good day. Maybe then they carry that on to someone else. Or that impact when you go and volunteer, or when you spend some time in church or in prayer or journaling. You were created for an impact. Don't wait to be ready. This is your life. So I want you to stretch and reach into what you're becoming. Yes. Okay. We're going to end this week today. You guys are so amazing. Thank you for being here. We're bringing out necessity. We're bringing out our commitment to continuing our awesome journey. I will see you all next week.